Welcome everybody to the Beyond the Summit coverage of the G1 League action for today. We've got ourselves a best of three between Fnatic and Kaipi. It is a replay cast, as many people have realized. The game was played yesterday, but we're here broadcasting live as well as all the other broadcasters out there. The Chinese stream, the Russians over on Starlight, and AC over on One More Game TV. I'm joined by Vikramon though, and we've got a game one between Fnatic and Kaipi. Replay as said, but we'll try to be as excited as possible. I don't know the result of the series itself, although I may know the result of individual games, although I'll try my best not to spoil too much. But how are you doing? You don't know too much about this series.
I know nothing about this series,
Good.
I just know that one of these teams will have to advance to this best of three, and this is actually neither of these teams are eliminated, I believe, right? Because this is the upper bracket of the G1 qualifier.
Yes, upper bracket round one. The winner of this goes on to face EG. Meanwhile, in the lower bracket, the lower half of the winner bracket, we've got Na'Vi versus Alliance as the other winner bracket semi-final. So, loser of it versus Team Liquid, I believe. So, just starting things off, both these two teams still with two lives to play around with.
10 seconds
Right.
remaining.
And they'll probably be happy that they have that opportunity, because honestly, this game could go either way. Kaipi, of course, a team that's really made a very quick rise on everyone's radar. For a while, they were sort of one of those solid second, third tier European teams that no one really bore any mind. But they really started rising even before they picked up Eternal Envy, but he's really been sort of a locus around which they can arrange the rest of their players, I feel, because they do have that predilection for giving him some of the harder carries in the pool. He will play things like Lifestealer, Gyrocopter, but we also frequently see Kaipi draft things like Anti-Mage, Phantom Lance, or even Faceless Void up for Eternal Envy, and sort of act as screens for him with some of the excellent play by their other players. Particularly Bone 7 on heroes like Clockwork has just been very, very strong. And Fnatic, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're in a slump, because I don't think that's an accurate statement at all, but certainly they're not dominating the European scene like they were for a few weeks earlier this year. They've made a few changes in terms of not their roster, but their positions. No Tail has moved into the mid, and that's had its advantages and disadvantages so far. Obviously, most recently we saw them kind of get obliterated by Na'Vi 2-0 in the EMS Cup, but honestly, I think No Tail, when he's on his form in the mid, is a huge playmaker, and that's something we'll have to watch this game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it can be hit or miss, but when he's in form, it's absolutely fantastic to watch. As for KP, like you mentioned, they're a team that sort of structure themselves a lot more around Eternal Envy, and the GD show in their latest Dota 2 stats, he's the best player of the last week as far as overall stats. So Bruno's thing, he has a player of the week who's just played amazingly, and it was Eternal Envy. EG were the team of the week with their performance in the We Play Dota 2, but Eternal Envy's performance there, where I think KP got second in the group, but he had some great individual plays, sort of got him the player of the week.
Not only that, they were second in their group in We Play to Dignitas, but beat out, it was a very strong group. They beat Empire and QPAD. Yep. And not just that, in the same week, they won the Join Dota Open and placed second in the Join Dota Masters to no less of a team than Na'Vi. So you feel good getting second in a tournament if Na'Vi is first.
Yeah, KP are playing a lot, and they're playing really well a lot. So we'll see how they do things here. Picks getting underway here, and I guess the big thing, which is most interesting to me, is Bane actually gets taken by Fnatic. So there's two big things here. One, it's one of Zizou's sort of trademark heroes. He plays this all the time. And two, it's a great counter to Lifestealer, and Fnatic, they first pick Lifestealer, so it makes sense that they pick up a good counter to it with that pick.
Yeah, I actually think the Bane pick is really excellent. I'm typically skeptical of deny picks, where you sort of pick something just to make sure the other team doesn't have it. But in this case, I like it because it's almost a double deny, because as you pointed out, it's a good hero for Zizou, and almost always you see teams relying upon that Bane to handle the Lifestealer. Kaipi, if it is error on this Lifestealer, and that's very, very likely, we'll have to look towards things like Shadow Demon or maybe even Beastmaster to do in the second phase against him.
Yeah, it's also a good hero, versatile, because he can go as sort of like something like an offensive trial lane. He can go as a safe lane farmer. Generally, Fnatic like to run a lot of core farmers. They'll pick up 2 or 3 sort of farm heavy heroes, but they do it differently to a team like Dignitas. I would describe Dignitas as very greedy with their lines, but Fnatic, they always have their obvious support heroes. They don't ever look to sort of get too much farm on their supports or have heroes that can't really be supported. With Dignitas, they'll have something like a Nature's Prophet jungling, a Clockwork support, and have all these heroes who need all this farm and get punished for it. Fnatic, they'll pick up multiple cores. Here they get a Lone Druid as well, so they've got themselves some very strong laning heroes, but they'll have the solid supports to back it up.
Right. I think Fnatic, it's most commonly dual core. Like, they'll have something for Trixie that'll get a lot of farm, and something for Era that'll get a lot of farm. Whereas some teams like Dignitas, you see, or even Team Liquid, you see 3, 4 core heroes, and they'll have to farm the enemy jungle and the friendly jungle. Fnatic, it's always very solid. They might do something sometimes, obviously Batrider banned in this game, but they will sometimes have a third core with a jungle Batrider. But that's really as elaborate as they'll get. It's most likely going to be Hani on the Lone Druid, Era on the Lifestealer, and I would expect, depending on what they fill out for their second support, for that to actually be a Lifestealer Bane X aggressive tri lane.
Yeah, Lone Druid, great in a 1v1 matchup. Quite likely to be up against Nature's Prophet, who Lone Druid I think has a slight edge against. Nature's Prophet can sort of look to hold his own there, but it's a decent 1v1 matchup nonetheless. And the big thing is there, Eternal Envy generally sort of on some big late game carry, whether it's the Void you mentioned, the PL, the Anti-Mage, and these are heroes you want to shut down early, go offensive trial against. Even if you're not killing him, the idea is that your solo lanes win and you shut down their carry, so end of the day you're coming out on top.
Right. I love this Clockwork band from Fnatic because Bone 7 is actually one of the best European Clockworks, I think, if not the best. He's had just some absolutely insane games on that Clockwork. I actually feel like he's carried Kaipi through some matches that they otherwise had no right winning just by virtue of some great hooks, good cogs positioning. And not just that, Clockwork is also a great ban in this matchup because he can cogs in the Lifestealer, keep him away. If Clockwork picks up something like a Ghost Scepter or a Force Staff, he can actually survive that engagement while also locking the Lifestealer down. So this is a very good ban by Fnatic. Kaipi did have the option of actually drafting that Clockwork first phase. That's something we've seen them do in the past. But in this case, they are going to most likely, in that case, put Bone 7 on the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, a hero can also play very well. Last ban Warlock from Kaipi, and I guess this is somewhat worried about, I guess, a really strong mid-game push with a Lone Druid. You combine that with a Warlock as an initiation tool, so Kaipi needs something to maybe stop a potential Fnatic push coming out. Fnatic like to get sort of it's not sort of early game aggression. It's that mid game really take down all your towers and look to just seal the deal there with a sort of snowballing gold lead.
Yeah, it's an interesting ban definitely because we don't see Fnatic draft Warlock that often. Yeah. But I think Kaipi are just concerned about their sort of anti-push and dying before they manage to get whatever carry Eternal Envy is going to be piloting. And he really has his pick of the litter here. Hit the farm that he needs. It'll actually be very intriguing to me to see what Kaipi draft up for Envy here, because they really have anything except Gyrocopter that they can pick. What do you think they'll actually go with?
I know, so I...
Oh, right!
I could say, but I don't want to spoil it for everyone.
Don't say. Yeah. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, it's okay. I was one of these shows like, well... I don't want to. I could theory craft as like as sort of unbiased as possible,
it's okay.
But it's just not. It's not worth it. I know what they're going to pick. It wasn't a hero I was expecting to pick, so if I had this theory craft, it wouldn't be that.
I find this Tinker pick interesting because, of course, they can set up when they can use one of their supports, either the Leshrac or the Nyx Assassin, or even the Nature's Prophet when he finds some time to set up those ancient stacks, or I guess Arise can stack them himself. The one concern I have with the Tinker is that the way he's typically played these days, which is the Boots of Travel Rush with leveling up March of the Machines and Laser, actually makes him kind of soft in most mid 1v1 matchups, except against, like, melees. So I'm worried that Arise could actually get bullied by No-Tail's hero in the mid. Obviously, Puck has been taken out, Storm Spirit has been taken out, but there's still options here, like Queen of Pain, which I know No-Tail doesn't play that much, but it would bully this Tinker pretty effectively.
Yeah, I think most of those heroes that bully Tinker, sort of, if he wants to have a way of dealing with it, you have to go for a more heavy laser rocket build.
Yeah.
We've seen Tinkers often sort of get marched later on, and Night Stalker, there's your mid hero. So
sure,
it's a melee hero against a Tinker, but it's a melee hero who does decently against Tinker, especially if you rush a bottle. You've got high base armor, high HP, you just need to bottle Crow a bit, and you're perfectly fine against a Tinker. And
now Fnatic, of course, they are the kings. They didn't invent the bottle Crow, but they have definitely adopted it. Yeah. They, more commonly than any other team that I've seen, actually use the double Crow trick, where they'll just have 2 Crows to not have to pay the tax. Well, I mean, you do pay a tax, but you don't lose time because the mid player is constantly bottle crowing. I would expect that in the Night Stalker Tinker matchup, Fnatic will almost certainly purchase those 2 couriers right off the bat, use one for dedicated No-Tail ferrying for health and for void spam, and use the other one for whatever other lanes happen to need it.
I don't think they need to, just personally, without nothing to do with what I've seen in this game, because Lone Druid and Lifestealer, they don't need the courier. There we go. There's your Ursa. Just finish my Lone Druid and Lifesteal get all their items from the side shop, so you don't really need a career for these heroes. If you have something like a safe lane farmer who needs to get early items, or an off laner who wants to bring down an early bottle or boots, maybe, but with these heroes you don't. But Ursa gets picked up for KP. This is an Eternal Envy trademark.
I believe you have some insight as to Eternal Envy Ursa gods.
I've versed it at the mid lane. I know how to deal with it, but the question is, does Fnatic know how to deal with it?
Right, and I don't think that this is going to be the solo mid Eternal Envy Ursa. Although, to be fair, that isn't a total impossibility. We've seen Tinker as a side lane farmer before, not that much recently, but it does happen. And when you're talking about Bottle Crow matchups, Ursa can actually Bottle Crow and level up the Earthshock quickly and be a decent mid-hero then. So it is an option. It would be a very exotic option. We do see a rise on the Tinker, so actually that doesn't tell us much because obviously it would be Eternal Envy on that Ursa. I don't know. We'll have to see. Undying is a hero that Fnatic still like. It's actually fallen out of favor a bit. I think semi-fairly there were some bugs that made Undying really, really overpowered, and they fixed them. But he's still quite a strong option. He's a teamfight king.
And to me, it says offensive trialing. You mentioned with the lifesteal doing offensive trialing, you need something which can just really help you out there. Undying's the perfect candidate.
Absolutely. Huh, and interesting. Fnatic, even though No-Tail has been playing mid a lot lately, they actually have him on the 4 role again here. So I would actually feel very... I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think it's potentially an overreaction to how badly the Na'Vi games went. I just think No-Tail needs more adjustment time in the mid. But, I mean, they do go with No-Tail on the 4 role here. And Hani will be going up into the middle on that Night Stalker. Which leaves, of course, Trixie on the Lone Druid, Era on his very, very typical Lifestealer, and Fly on the Bane.
Yeah, and as far as No-Tail playing support, maybe it also has to do with the hero selection. If it's something like a Puck or Queen of Pain mid, maybe he gets it, but with a Night Stalker, they give it to Hani. One of the funnier things I read watching his stream, underneath he has like a frequently asked questions, and it says, this was back when he was initially playing support, it says, oh, why do you play support? And his answer is, well, 4 noobs who don't know how to ward. So that's his answer on his Twitch channel. So those are his words, not mine. But to introduce KP, we have got Pylai playing the Nyx Assassin, Envy playing one of his sort of, I guess, trademark heroes, the Ursa, Leshrac for Zizou. We've got Arise playing the Solo Mid Tink, and then finally the off-lane Nature's Prophet being played by Bone 7.
Right. And I think this is going to be okay for Bone 7. The Nature's Prophet Lone Druid matchup is like a lot of Lone Druid matchups in that you feel okay up until level 5. You can actually get quite a bit of an advantage to level 5 just by using your Treants to harass and keep Lone Druid off the lane. But then at level 5, everything changes because suddenly you are always paranoid, especially when they have the Panda cosmetic. Okay, he doesn't have it this game, but you're always paranoid about the possibility of getting entangled.
Well, early game... action, not really action, but strategies happening at bottom lane. There was a Sentry Ward placed by Leshrac. He actually used a Split Earth on some trees to try and find the blocking Observer Ward, but it was on the wrong side. So the Sentry gets dewarded, and Fnatic, they've sort of maintained control over denying this pull.
Right. And this is an interesting dynamic, of course. Ursa is a hero that we don't commonly see, but he does have his strengths, even in the lane. If he gets good time on target, and Nyx Assassin Leshrac can give him that time on target, basically nobody can survive the damage output of Ursa at any point. The question is just, will that happen or will he get kited? And with open wounds, the slows that can come out of Tombstone, and something like Nightmare, Fnatic do have the option to kite. But I wouldn't really expect them to dominate this lane. It's really going to take either a rotation or some very clever play for either team to sort of seize control of this Traverse Tribe.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Fnatic is just deny as much farm as possible from Envy. They blocked off the pool, which means they can't allow Envy to... Ideally, for KP, they want to have Envy farming under the tower while they use pools, because that's more reliable farm than having to contest with 3 enemy heroes. But without that pull, it's a lot harder for them. They're trying to maintain control by spamming this mana burn on the Undying to get his mana down, but apart from that, Envy's is not having a very easy time here.
Right, they're doing a pretty good job because, of course, and I like the choice of Undying as a target. It may seem counterintuitive to some viewers that you would not target the Bane, him being sort of an intelligence hero, who's actually more mana intensive than Undying. But because Undying has the spammable decay that can really reduce the ability of Ursa both to survive and sort of do what he needs to do in this lane, he's actually by far the best target for that mana burn. But he actually picks up a regen rune.
All that work is just for nothing.
That sucks because of course mana burn is so expensive for Nyx Assassin.
And it's interesting for Fnatic. You can see how much they love to bottle Crow because Undying picks it up. He could have left that room for the Night Stalker at mid, but the problem is then Night Stalker's missing out on XP, maybe missing a bit of farm, and Night Stalker's very level dependent hero. You want to be as high a level as possible during that first night time, so leaving lane is not something you want to do. He's going to just bottle Crow in this mid lane.
Right, and I actually like that choice.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, you're absolutely right. By the time of the first night, you want to be as developed as possible, and trying to chase after runes that you can't really use anyway as a low-level Night Stalker is almost kind of counterproductive. So they're okay with... And honestly, that regen rune is a huge deal for them to win this lane, because it's just going to take time. I mean, who's on the next? Paladai? Yeah, Paladai only has mana for one more mana burn at this point.
Yeah, and he also wants to maybe save some in there for a stun. He has picked up an early magic stick, so if there is a clash, he'll get a bit more mana from some of those spells being thrown around. Probably will have an Impale to work with as well, but this is not going to be an easy lane for Kaipi from here on out. And the problem is their supports, not really good early level ganking supports. They can't look to maybe go for a smoke gank on mid. They just have to sit here, leeching XP, trying their best to just help with the denies, help maintain this lane control, but it's not something they can easily do now that Undying has more mana.
And the other issue for KP is actually, even prior to level 5, this top lane has not gone that well for Bone 7. He's about halfway through level 4, but Trixie is about to cross over into level 5. And from that point on, Nature's Prophet is going to have to find other things to do. My only concern is, maybe mid, maybe he can find a kill on Hani, but I feel like even adding another hero on periodically to bottom may not get them the kills they're looking for.
Yeah, Nature's Prophet doesn't really add any firepower. Nyx Assassin is... He's a very level-dependent support as well, so maybe Nature's Prophet waits to hit level 6 or something so he can have a Wrath of Nature to give some additional damage, but I don't see a TP gank succeeding. TPing into Tombstone, Decay, you can't kill the Undying. Nightmare's got a defensive Nightmare. They've got a great lineup for dealing with even 4 heroes coming in.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, Era is substantially out-farming Envy as well. Envy just not feeling quite comfortable walking too far up into the lane against Fly and No-Tail.
Yeah.
No-Tail and Viz, by the way, so we got to keep an eye on this. But Envy, so far, he's got about 12 last hits to Era's 22, and even though Fnatic are in this difficult position where you have the aggressive trial and you lose XP, they've successfully blocked off the pull. So they're actually like doing fine in XP relative to Kaipi in this 3vs3 lane.
Yeah, and it's basically with the Trialing versus Trialing, all the solos in 1v1 matchups, 5 of the 6 core heroes are farming. The only one which isn't farming well is Envy. The other 5 are all doing fairly decently, and the Envy's rune for No-Tail doesn't achieve a whole lot here. Once again, it's a rune that Night Stalker could have picked up, but he doesn't. He does not want to leave this mid lane for a second.
Right. I just got what you meant by 5 of the 6 core heroes. I thought you were saying that Fnatic had 6 heroes because they're there.
Between the two teams.
And I was like, well, sure, you can construe it that way, I suppose.
I'm adding the teams up. Looking at the CS stats.
I like the Orb of Venom on Era, by the way. It just makes him a little bit scarier in that 1v1 against Envy, and that damage over time adds up. If he walks up and just smacks Envy, that's a decent amount of damage, and he can back right off.
The slow will also help, especially considering this Trialing of theirs, well, you haven't really got any slow or setups. Unless you get multiple zombies on some of the slow. This is going to help maybe get them kills here. We'll see.
And they do have that rank 1 open wounds as well.
Ooh. Nature's Prophet going to hit level 6 now, but we'll maybe see him look to rotate either mid or bottom for a kill, because he can't really stay in this lane at top. Trixie has just won this lane.
My concern is that right now is a very, very delicate moment for Kaipi. Oh, actually, Envy, he runs way in. I think this is going to be it. He actually gets open wounds. He's dealing a lot of damage to Era, but Era turning it right around. Envy is still very, very slow. Zombies are on him. He pops off the magic wand, but he will go down for the first blood. Nice stun from Paladai, and Bone 7 is in the fray, but Era is still whacking away, and I think they might... No, they will not earn a kill on Bone 7. The... Split Earth will come on Fly. He was sprouted for a moment there, but Zizou is actually very, very low. Era might get the kill. No! Another excellent Impale from Paladai. He is just keeping this from going any worse for KP, and really saves his team from some serious embarrassment there. They do get a kill. They trade a kill, and actually, No-Tail, Hani manages to pick off Tinker in the middle as well. He may die from tower damage. No, he lives with 29 HP.
DD room picked up, and he snipes. That's a big solo kill as well. And bottom lanes, like you say, Paladai, Nyx Assassin saved so much more damage being done. Both Nature's Prophet and Leshrac were so low there. He went after Nature's Prophet. He could have actually killed the Leshrac. He wanted Nature's Prophet. Then, by the time he changed target, it was too late. There was an Impale up, and he got prevented from chasing any further. But a really big win for Fnatic.
Yeah, they really have to... definitely a win for Fnatic, no question. They take down Eternal Envy. Era stays up. The issue here is that for Ursa, an extremely important mechanic to keep watching is Ursa's speed relative to the enemy's speed. And right now, Envy is marooned on tier 1 boots, while Era has Phase and Orb of Venom. This Ursa will not outrun this Lifestealer.
Yeah, I imagine he looks for an early fight.
Actually gets tombstoned, and he pops the Spike Carapace. It'll keep him alive for a second, but I can't imagine he survives this. Era just whacking away one more hit. Actually, No Tail picks up the kill, but still, Fnatic at this point are firmly in control of this bottom area. They have vision of the jungle, they have control of the jungle, and now they're going to dive Envy. Hani silences him, the Void is up, Envy taking gobs of damage, and Era might swoop in for the last hit here. He gets it. 4-1 advantage for Fnatic.
Yeah, they rotate the Night Stalker really fast here. Hani finds an easy kill, and he's maybe going to look for more at this bottom lane. There are TPs coming up top here as Pylai is there now. And wow, Night Stalker, early TP top lane. He gets a kill at bottom, he TPs top trying to look for more.
Oh, and they don't know he's up here, I don't think. They may have... Well, they actually have vision of the mid. No, they don't know. So he's going to dive right onto Pylai. He's actually silenced. He pops up the Spike Carapace in time, which is excellent. Will they actually get an entangle? Because if they don't, this could backfire spectacularly. Hani completely trapped out in the corner here. Another excellently aimed Impale from Pylai will seal that kill. So a little bit of over-exuberance there. And they may want more. Actually, Trixie trapped in the Sprout. He cuts his way out, I think with his last tango. No, he has a quelling on the Bear. Bear will die. Hani does have a resummon, and he walks away scot-free, basically.
Yeah, the big play there was Pylai died Nyx Assassin. He got the Carapace off just before Silence came out, because it was going to be a Silence Void. Night Stalker should have just cancelled the Void and backed off at that point, but he committed to it. And KP, they find themselves a couple openings, get themselves a couple kills here, trying to get some control over near this top lane. They do drop a ward down, but the big issue is Envy has been completely shut down, and this is...
He's jungling.
Ursa's not a good comeback hero. Ursa's a good hero for getting a really easy, fast start, fast phase boots, fast blink dagger. You can't really play from behind as an Ursa.
Absolutely. When you aren't able to chase your targets, when you're just getting completely shut out, at this point he's jungling, and this isn't even really a jungle Ursa build.
No.
Ooh, what happened there? Actually, why didn't the creeps respawn? Did he actually mess that up? I think he blocked his own creep respawn.
Oh,
that's really unfortunate. And Fnatic and Fly are rotating in here. They actually have... There is another support here with Pylai. He actually did the very smart thing of Vendettaing and immediately TPing. So Fnatic don't know where this Nyx Assassin is. Fly and No Tail... It's good that they're playing defensively here, because they'd be in a lot of trouble if they tried to dive.
Well,
ooh, actually, Pylai goes in on... He gets him with the mana burn. Nice kill from this Nyx Assassin. Honestly, this is the good news to them right now, and Eternal Envy's coming in. Pylai taking a lot of damage. Actually, Envy gets nightmared. Very good nightmare there. And a kill for a kill, basically. Will he land the Earthshock? No. Actually, Hani wants to turn this around. Zissou is silenced. Envy pops off the Earthshock. Era manages to pick up the last hit on that Leshrac. Envy trying to TP out. They don't have a stun for him. They do! The Void hits. Actually, Nightmare as well. They spam those stuns just in time. And another drop for Ursa. Now he's very behind. And like you said, Gods, this is definitely a reverse snowball.
Yeah, and the idea of the Ursa pick is that he does act as a decent counter in theory to Lifestealer, Lone Druid, Night Stalker, tanky melee heroes. Because if they're melee, they have to be hitting you, and as an Ursa, you should be winning any one-on-one clash. But he's actually gone for heavy Earthshock, so he hasn't got points in the Fury Swipes, hasn't got points in the Overpower.
Right. The heavy Earthshock I don't think helps for this at all.
No.
It's good for picking off sort of heroes who are trying to run away from you. Oh man, Era pops out, the Infest, they pick off Zissou incredibly quickly, using the Invis rune for that. Will they get a Rise? That's the real prey. Unfortunately they don't, they popped off the Tombstone for it, but Hani didn't get over there in time. So, killing the Leshrac is okay. I think they wanted the Tinker as food, but Arise was playing defensively enough that it wasn't an easy kill.
Trixie at top will get scattered out by a Vendetta. He pops the ultimate form just in time as Nyx Assassin comes out and Pylai die. There's no backup. It was maybe expecting a Nature's Prophet TP, and
he's going to be in a lot of trouble because No Tail's rotating over. One Decay, a Soul Rip, and maybe a Tombstone. Oh, he still has a cooldown, but Hani just picks it up with the Void. And this Night Stalker is actually getting kind of out of control. 1,400 gold. He could make drums if he wanted to, but he could go bigger as well. He's already 4-1-3 in this first night.
Yeah, and he's looking for more. It's going to be around the mid lane. Arise still trying to farm his boots of travel here. We're 11 minutes in. Hani going to cut between the towers, and does he find Arise here?
Oh man, if he finds a Rise, this is going to set back his Boots of Travel so much. Will Hani go in? Yes! The Void hits. There's the silence. Everybody on Kaipi is so far away. Arise trying to juke and drive. Hani actually doesn't have the mana for another Void, so I'm not sure how much he can prosecute this anymore. No Tail comes in. He pops down the Tombstone. They may finally get Tinker. No Tail actually taking a lot of damage. He's barely alive. Excellent juke. Wow, dodging that Impale was a very, very smart move. And they get out safely.
That was nice little sidestep, dodges the Impale, and Fnatic now find themselves with another kill. They're really starting to snowball here. They've got a 5-6k gold lead, and we're still really early in. Envy trying to look to go for a bit of a trade here at the bottom lane, try and get a tier 1 tower, but it just doesn't seem possible as easy rotation if Fnatic want to defend this.
Even with the tier 1, if they do happen to get it, I don't know how much control this gives them, because Fnatic have such amazing vision of this entire southeastern quadrant. that if Envy, for instance, is farming up here, there's no way Ursa gets out. It just doesn't happen.
And Lifestealer has his Armlet now, so the damage output coming from Fnatic with Lifestealer, he's got Phase, Armlet, Orb of Venom. Very familiar looking items. I imagine it's exactly what we'll see Lone Druid go for in his Spirit Bear. He's got Phase, Orb of Venom. It's the Armlet next, I imagine.
Yeah.
It has been sort of the flavor of the month lately with these Western teams. Even the Asian teams.
Until it gets changed, it's going to be everywhere. Yeah, it started in the West, and then people didn't take it seriously for a little bit, and I think Admiral Bulldog started supporting it, and everybody was like, oh, well, if the guy who only plays Lone Druid thinks it's a good build, I guess it's a good build. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everyone was doing it. Now that the Chinese teams do it, IG does it, it's pretty much ubiquitous until it gets changed. Bone7, I think he's fine.
Looks like he's gonna get scattered out here, but unless there's a TP, and it's still daytime as well, which is the big thing. Hani trying to get some farm up at mid lane. He's picked up an Ogre Club, so BKB, I imagine. I don't see
Ags, honestly.
Normally you get the point booster first is the big thing.
Yeah, that's
there.
true. That's a good point.
But
yeah, it's probably BKB.
Ags would be definitely good later on, considering that Tinker likely to go for a Blink Dagger and blink around between trees. Having an Ag Scepter to counter that is always going to be nice.
Aghanim's Night Stalker is amazing against Tinker Blink Dagger, although, unfortunately, it has to be said, Tinker Blink Dagger is still a pretty pie-in-the-sky theory at this point, considering he's 700 away from Boots of Travel at 13.5 minutes. Not a position you're happy with as Tinker.
And Envy, well, he's just sitting on phase at bottom lane, so it's not just Tinker having a hard time, it's Envy as well. I guess, looking for a Vlad's here still. Maybe just go straight for a Blink. I mean, your standard Ursa build at this point is Vlad's then Blink, but he's struggling.
I probably would still go the Vlad's, not because it's so fantastic this late, but because the Blink Dagger gives you some initiation, but you just aren't stronger than the people you're initiating on at this point.
You need the lifesteal to win those one-on-one fights. If you have a bear on you, if you have a lifesteal on you, you need the lifesteal to win that clash.
Absolutely.
And he's not winning it anyways, because look at this build. He can't fight lifesteal at this point.
No. He can kill Bane, and maybe he can kill Undying, but that's about it. Even though I think the Eternal Envy Ursa build of maxing Earthshock first is underrated, I'm not sure it was the right approach in this game, specifically, because of his opposition.
No, I definitely agree here, and we'll see Fnatic. Well, the problem, it's not build aside. I feel Ursa is just too far behind, regardless. As we'll see Fnatic look to start getting these armlets up. We'll maybe even see some additional lockdown. You've got Bane, who's a great counter as well with Grip, Enfeeble, Nightmare. This is just not a very good game for Ursa.
No-Tail gets caught out, actually. They will get a kill there. No-Tail really, really out of position, frankly. And Pylai Die, once again, leading the charge there. He's been part of every single kill that Kaipi have actually managed to put on the board. Granted, that's a fairly modest amount of kills, but still.
Okay. Well, it's something their lineup can do really well. And you've got a Nyx Assassin. He can scatter the kills with a Vendetta. Nature's Prophet can TP in. And once Tinker has Boots of Travels, he can TP in as well. But right now, it's like you say, he's still got a bit of way to go for that Boots of Travel.
Oh, Fnatic are just being jerks now. Trixie is stealing every... Oh, he actually misses one, but he's stealing most of the last hits of this understacked Ancient camp. Because, of course, No-Tail had put the ward here earlier. Oh, nice stun!
Tinker gets it as well. One to go.
That's really good. That was good by Zizou. Oh!
Trixie gets it. And he dodges the Impale and gets out of there too.
Nice.
Meanwhile, his teammates take a tier 1 bottom.
That was excellent. Trixie they already put the ward here, making it more annoying for KP to actually stack this. And then, just to add insult to injury, Trixie steals most of the camp. Oh man, Kaipi can't be happy about that. We still don't have Boots of Travel on a rise, 16 minutes in. This actually calls to mind Fnatic's game against Na'Vi, where No-Tail couldn't find the Boots of Travel until 20 minutes plus.
Yeah, and at that point, it's just, you're so far behind. And if it's just Tinker behind, if they put all the effort into shutting down Tinker and you have a carry hero who's doing fantastic, then maybe you're okay. But looking at how Envy's doing, you've got KP's two most important heroes struggling. It doesn't matter how well Nature's Prophet doing. At this point, he's doing decently, but when your two core heroes are struggling this badly, you're in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. And I do think that the Bone7's build here with the Phase Boots Midas would be... I think it would be really good if Tinker and Ursa weren't struggling. But because they are, the Nature's Prophet is able to contribute less than if he had, for instance, like rushed up the mechanism. Yeah. They don't have any form of real teamfight right now. Not coming from the Nature's Prophet, not really from the Tinker, and certainly not from the Ursa.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how KP look to play. They have got a great lineup for stalling. Having a Tinker, March of the Machines, Rocket Spam makes it really hard for Fnatic to push. So Fnatic really just have to tank the hell up with their heroes, get some sort of stronger mid to late game items before they can actually look to push and siege KP.
Right. And we will see Fnatic try to get a kill on Envy, but he's playing very conservatively now, and God bless him, honestly, because their vision is very confined to the sort of middle tunnel, where, oh, Envy, he still gets gripped. Maximum range, the tombstone comes down. Era is whacking away. This Ursa may not live long at all. The open wounds will secure it. Era manages to get away from the Sprout and the Splitter. Fly taking some damage, no tail in the back here. They're going to just try to turn this around. Another decay comes out. The tombstone creeps are amassing. Great defensive impale by Pylai yet again. Really carrying this team on his back, if I have to be frank about it. But nonetheless, the damage is done. The Ursa is down.
Some really clutch impales, like you say. That was essential there. They only lost the Ursa. It was what Fnatic were after, but Fnatic would have happily taken a few more kills, considering they committed so many heroes to that one. But
Absolutely.
They back off. Trixie is meanwhile getting the tier 1 tower. This is the great thing about this Fnatic lineup, is they can take these clashes with just having 3 or 4 heroes, because Lifestealer hard to kill, Nightstalker very tanky, and Trixie the entire time is farming and pushing and pressuring towers.
Yeah, here's the thing. Trixie, his items are nothing to write home about, but he's level 13. He's 3 levels higher than anybody on KP. And Lone Druid, up until the point at which he gets that level 3 True Form, he's so very, he's not level dependent, but levels help him a ton. They buff out the stats. Up until he finishes out that Rabid, they really make the bear very, very strong. This Lone Druid is basically in the prime of his life right now. Any fight that he does participate in, he's going to dominate. And especially once they add on the Aegis to him, Trixie will start getting more and more into these fights.
Yeah, Roshan will be taken. I imagine it's Lone Druid picks up. Lifesteal did actually go top to, well, I guess look for a bit of a gank or pick off here, but the tier 1 town under pressure. Here comes the TPs in. Bane going to be the first, needs to find a Fiend's Grip, but Fiend's Grip is on cooldown, so no pick-offs it looks like.
If he gets a Nightmare off, no. Actually, Bone 7 and Arise making it out, and they pick up the tower, so cold comfort, but it is something.
And can Nyx actually get a pick-off here?
No
They're
way.
taking a lot of damage.
Oh man, really good Nature's Prophet ultimate, and the Impale will land. Can they get it? No, unfortunately not, because he didn't use the Vendetta, because he didn't want to reveal and have Era immediately rage, but as a consequence, they lacked the damage.
He turned an Era turned the Armlet on as the Impale came out. The Nature's Prophet ultimate got him down low enough to die, but he then toggled the Armlet, so if they comboed those up like perfectly together, it would have worked, but Era gets out of there, and KP, they find themselves a tier 1 tower. They also now have Boots of Travel on the Tinker, which is the other good news. He also hits level 11, so 2 points in the rearm. So KP have themselves decent items for stalling now. Ursa with the Vlads as well, so KP have sort of got somewhat of a more stable footing, I would say.
Yes. The other thing is that Fnatic no longer controls the entire Radiant jungle. They don't have as perfect vision of it anymore, and Hani, of course, he has finished out that BKB, so he doesn't have the map hacks of Aghanims. Kaipi are going to find themselves able to sort of start getting some farm. The annoying thing is, of course, Envy finishes his Vlads after Roshan is already out of the picture. So one of the greatest things about Ursa, his ability to clear Rosh like no other hero, is just simply not going to be a factor here, and Fnatic still stalking through this jungle as well.
Yeah, Fnatic are just trying to find any opening they can. Cause I think they know it's going to be hard to push down towers against this Tinker now, so they'd rather try and find those pickoffs. But you've got a couple KP heroes top, a couple mid, and this is one thing KP, even when they're behind, they still got great heroes for farming. Often a team when they're behind, they have to sit 4 heroes in their base with only their maybe carry anti-mage off farming, but Tinker can farm somewhere, Nature's Prophet can jungle, Ursa can jungle. They've got a really good lineup for playing from behind, apart from the fact Ursa isn't a good hero for playing from behind.
The fact that Kaipi have 2 teleporting heroes and Fnatic have no anti-teleports, like they don't have Wisp or Disruptor or something. They have Nightstalker who moves around very quickly. But Kaipi will definitely be able to give Fnatic more and more conniptions as these heroes get developed. Oh, Bone 7 might get caught out. Trixie's on top of him. Keep in mind, this is a level 14 Lone Druid. If Bone 7 gets entangled, they won't even need it. They just do it the hard way, bashing down that Nature's Prophet. And that is the problem. If these teleporting, blinking heroes get caught out, they just die, because Fnatic are very much ahead and looking very formidable with their build-outs.
And Lone Druid mentioned bashing. Well, I think Lone Druid's going for just that. He's got a Javelin on his Spirit Bear, and bash is a great way of fighting Ursa.
They have... Ursa is going to be more or less a non-factor for a while, because Era finished his Halberd, and Trixie is finishing the Basher very quickly. That's going to be a bashed and disarmed Ursa, and they're really going to have to rely on the Tinker and Nature's Prophet from that point.
This seems to be like stalling for days on end, and even when Ursa gets a BKB is essential at this point. Bashers go through that. So does Entangle. This is going to be a nightmare for him.
Right. It's always painful when you have to get BKB, but you are already aware that even that won't, like, fix it for you. You'll still have problems.
Nature's Prophet's going for a Necrobug. I find this an interesting choice, just especially considering you're playing from behind. Normally it's you look to sort of end the game faster by pushing with.
Yeah. Necrobook is an interesting choice. It seems if they want to go for something like counter push, split push, Necro does give you pretty good pushing power. There is that AoE buff on the Archer. So, I don't know. If he can build out something like a Necro 3, the backlash isn't bad. And additionally, it'll speed up. If Tinker and Nature's Prophet decide to farm a lane and Fnatic don't happen to have their TPs, they can trade racks for racks. And that would be a good position for Kaipi. Pylai Die will actually try for the kill on Fly, but unfortunately Vendetta just not doing that much damage. But the Rockets and the Wrath of Nature will. That's a quick kill on Bane. No Tail is caught alone here. There's 4 players. The Tombstone immediately gets dropped. Hani's going to try to chase, but I don't know how good I feel about this. Bone 7, he waits. Nice Impale as well, and Bone 7 will get away no problem. In fact, I think Kaipi will get away overall. Pylai Die is the only one in trouble. He's got to pop that Spike Carapace soon. Hani, he pump fakes, he silences, he's going to wait for the Spike Carapace. This is the mistake he made last time. He is not making it a second time, and Trixie gets the kill, 1 for 1.
Yeah, at that point there was just too many heroes. I think it's a pick-up for Guard, but Bone 7 doing a great job. He's back bottom lane. He's looking to push and pressure this tier 2, so he TP's out and then immediately uses his teleportation to get bottom.
So I do have to say, I like the Necro just because at this point, if I'm Kaipi, I look for Fnatic to make mistakes and to let their guard down, and Kaipi have the the famous Fnatic Rat Dota or whatever. That's basically what Kaipi are doing this game. They're going to hope that Fnatic gets frustrated and allows for a counter push that pushes through to a Rax.
Some Rat Dota going on at bottom lane. Bone 7 didn't TP out. He wants to go for this tier 2. He's going to get it. Fly. Nice. He could have Nightmare. He could have Grip, but it was a bit... I think he was maybe expecting backup or something there, because your instinct is... You see a hero run at you thinking, oh, holy crap, he's not alone, but he was just trying to snipe that tower. And
nice play by Bone 7 there, frankly. He's really... I didn't follow him at all until Kaipi really started performing well, but he's excellent. He's the player that's most impressed me on Kaipi overall, I think.
He's really been... He's been pretty solid this game as well, playing at Nature's Prophet. Like you mentioned, his Clockwork is such a stable hero.
Yeah. It's huge. It's good when one of your best heroes is a hero that's amazing in the current metagame, and Clockwork is so good. I mean, he's a great solo lane option. He repositions, but Hani... Oh, if they catch Envy out. Envy's just enjoyed his longest sustained period of not being killed, and that might change in a flash when they meet up in mere seconds. Here we go. Void, the silence will come out in just a second. Infest, Envy, oh man, they don't even need the silence. He just drops.
That's the other thing. Until he's a BKB, the silence is also a 40% miss. It's not just Halberd. You've got evasion from Halberd, disarm from Halberd, you've got miss from the crippling fear, so this is just... Oh man, I feel bad for Envy. He is going straight BKB, not even worried about a Blink Dagger. I think this is the right way to play it, but it's not going to be a way to play it where you still have any sort of an impact until a long, long time from now.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them additional repositioning. If they do decide to do something like a aggressive split push and then get out, Ursa can actually contribute to that a little bit. He does good tower damage because of the just overpower, giving him great attack speed. Fly and No Tail actually seeking some sort of pick off here. Bone 7 attempting to pick off the opponent's Ancients just to get some farm. He is in an incredibly safe position. This is one of the safest Nature's Prophet positions you can have. But they're trying to catch out Pylai Die. They don't have detection, though. And that Tombstone essentially wasted.
They're trying to catch out Bone 7. How do you not going to be able to find him?
Yeah, that was a very clever spot that he TP'd to. Oh man, Pylai Die. He will drop.
The gem pick up for Night Stalker. Secures that one. He's had this gem for a while now, but this is the first time it's succeeded. Nyx has been getting kills despite the gem being on the map. He's done a great job of ganking heroes away from Night Stalker.
Absolutely. Pylai Die has been incredibly impressive, and the only issue is when your support is playing incredibly well and all of your sort of carry core heroes are struggling, it's a very depressing experience being that support, right? Because it's like, well, I'm just going to keep having my good game and hope that something else goes right. Because Nyx Assassin alone won't win this game. Arise and Bone 7 have to split push, and Envy has to find safe farm.
Yeah, and I feel Envy, at this point, he's not even a core hero. It seems to be Tinker and Nature's Prophet who are going to be the ones who could get Kaipi back in this game. They're also going to have to keep finding these pickoffs. I feel like having the Nyx Assassin Vendettaing around and then have the TP in from both Nature's Prophet as well as Tinker could be a way of getting them, at least it stalls the Fnatic push, it buys them some time, it's time where they're farming. Like I mentioned earlier, they have heroes who can always be farming even when you're playing from behind.
I like this Vlad's pickup for Hani.
Yeah.
Because they have so much stand and deliver damage from the Lone Druid, from the Spirit Bear, obviously, and the Life Stealer. Vlad's will heal all of them up, in addition to give them armor, and the Ursa going to be even more effectual than he previously was with the addition of armor on the enemy team. But Trixie, he's in a lot of trouble, and I wonder if he realizes just how much trouble he's in. Here we go. Earthshock, Impale, Trixie down incredibly quickly. And Kaipi, they do find those pickoffs that you were talking about, Gods. They are pretty mobile.
Well, a 4-man gank on Trixie at top lane, but they also killed... Nature's Prophet was trying to TP in, but he was trying to do so as 4-5 Fnatic heroes found him. Fnatic, though, they've gone high ground here. They're actually going to try and push this. Tinker's not really in position to defend just yet.
Bone 7, he actually doesn't have buyback because he bought the Necro 3 recipe. Fnatic going to peel off, and this is honestly wise. I don't know how they would have high grounded. And it has to be said, Kaipi find the trade. Envy gets a solo tower kill top, and that finishes his Black King bar.
Okay, I like what's happened for Kaipi the last couple of minutes. You can actually see on the gold graph, it's stabilized a lot the last basically 8 minutes. It's been hovering around the 10k mark. Probably see it maybe go up after that tier 2 tower. So Kaipi are doing a lot better. They're finding pickoffs, finding counter trades, and until now it's just been Fnatic walking all over them. But it's sort of changed a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, part of this is the composition. Bone 7, what a sneaky, oh, too sneaky. He got sneaked out. The Fiend's Grip comes out. There's no way he survives this. Oh, poor guy. Getting a little too clever there. The Necro 3 creeps will do a little bit of damage to Fly. I don't know why they had Fly kill them, but still. They're okay. They find another pick-off. And Nature's Prophet, that's 2 quick deaths in a row. And he actually didn't use his Midas between death 1 and death 2. So that's a lot of wasted Midas time as well.
Yeah, it's going to hurt him. And Fnatic, well, they're back to farming. They go into the Ancients. They have, like you mentioned, Armlet, Halberd on Lifesteal. He's also got 3.5k gold. So we'll see his next item pickup fairly soon. So item pickups all over for Fnatic. Boots of Travel actually on Trixie. Wow. You mentioned the split push. Boots of Travel is a great way of dealing with that.
That's actually a really inspired pickup. It's extremely rare that we see it on Lone Druid, but this is the tactical Tinker Nature's Prophet response force.
Yep.
And considering he's level 18 and they're levels 14 and 13 respectively, he's going to be a pretty formidable response force.
Yep. TP's threatening the mid lane, not going to actually happen, and there we go. One bash is not enough. Let's get a second. Era picks up a basher of his own. So, sure, Ursa may have just got a BKB, but you're looking at bash on Lifesteal, a bash on the Spirit Bear, and maybe even a bash on the Night Stalker.
And eventually, once they add Abyssals onto these... Oh, actually, they get... Oh, my bad. I totally missed a kill on top of pouring myself more tea. There they go, picking off Trixie again. And every kill on this is actually extremely important for Kaipi. Excuse me. The trade here is Fnatic will pick up their second Roshan, but killing Trixie is a huge deal. He's so high level that the XP bounty for killing him is very substantive.
Yeah, he's the highest level in the game, and that means, well, a lot of XP, a lot of gold going the way of the Radiant team. Fnatic will use this opening to get another Roshan. Nightstalk actually picking up this Aegis, and, well, Fnatic, despite losing a bit of sort of map control, losing tier 2 tower top, having Trixie picked up a couple of times, they're still the ones in control of this game, and in quite a solid way.
Absolutely, but all due respect to IP, I mean, the thing that separates, in my opinion, part of this is their composition. Their composition is very favorable to dragging a game out.
Yeah.
But I really like this from a team that's behind, and this is what separates promising teams from less promising teams to me. They don't just fold when they're behind. They're actually playing extremely well. There's the Impale and No Tail again. Bone 7 comes in. They're going to pick him off incredibly quickly. And with no Undying, I don't know that Fnatic can actually pursue this. They're just clearing the heck out.
And
another pick-off, and they're finding them.
Necrobook 3 doing a lot of damage there. Oh, Era actually gets the tier 1 tower tonight. Necro Warriors sort of lost aggro for a second there.
Yeah. That was a great deny for him. Not that substantial in the grand scheme of things, but every little bit of farm counts, especially considering some of that would have gone to the Ursa.
Yeah, Ursa, I guess maybe looking for a bash of his own next, or does he look to go for some DPS or tank? That's the other thing with Ursa. He doesn't really have a good item transition once he has his BKB.
I wouldn't mind seeing... well, I don't know. I was actually going to say Butterfly, because there's so much... it will dodge out some of those bashes and some of the damage that comes out from Fnatic. But the flip side, of course, of that is it doesn't really give him that tank ability or initiate ability. But I don't know. If he could find the farm, I wouldn't hate the Butterfly. There's no MKBs up on Fnatic.
No. He could. The other option is, if you want something with some evasion, you could go for the Heaven's Halberd.
Sure.
But
he could go Heaven's Halberd himself. That does give him some strength, obvious, and it gives him some HP, more so than he would get from the Butterfly. The Ursa mechanic, of course, being the tankier he gets, the more damage he does. So yeah, the Halberd is the discount option. Butterfly is the sort of boutique option, but he could go either one. I would love some Medallion of Evasion item, though.
Boutique item choice for the Lifestealer. He's got a Boots of Travel of his own as well now.
This is real. Honestly, this is so clever from Fnatic. This is... I mean, it's pure problem solving. Your issue right now is you can't confidently push a lane because you know you'll get counter pushed. And at this point, Kaipi have cleared out so many outer towers that they can start advancing onto these racks. So Fnatic, they're like, okay, fine, you want to counter push us? We will. Oh, Era. We might get a Vendetta initiation on him. Paladin, no, he thinks better of it at the last moment. Meanwhile, they were trying to bait people onto Trixie by having No Tail and Era in the smoke, but it didn't quite work out. So KP, good instincts, not sort of biting on that bait, but still, Fnatic, the more Boots of Travel they add, the harder it is to be Tinker Nature's Prophet and TP all over the place with a clear conscience.
Yeah, it's going to be quite risky for Tinker. He does have the Blink Dagger so he can go into trees. Considering Night Stalker hasn't gone for an Aghanim Scepter means he can do so pretty safely. And Tinker, considering his bad start, he's suddenly got almost a sheep stick up. A Rise with a ton of farm.
Absolutely. Oh, he gives away his location with the rockets, but he will get out. Trixie doesn't get there in time.
You're in unpassable terrain. The only way you can actually find him is with just this. No Tail drops a Tombstone. Right. Chops down some trees, but he's already gone.
Right, they don't have the Leshrac, so they can't split her.
No. Nothing else to go through, it looks like. At least not that I can see.
Yeah. Mass Quellings, gods.
Yeah. 5-man Quelling Blades. The Spirit Base still has one, maybe?
It might, because they're still Sprouts, so there's no reason to drop it until you're maxed.
Yep. Well.
Scythe of Vice complete on a Rise. And honestly, Kaipi are looking better by the minute. Still behind, but... You mentioned that at some point Fnatic still had control of the game. I feel like control is exactly what they're sort of losing. They no longer have the run of everywhere on the map to just kill whoever they want.
And gold graph's going up to 8k gold. It was like an 11k gold maybe at peak. So you can see a clear turnaround as KP getting some decent farm, pickoffs, and tower gold going their way. So they've got to feel like they're in this with a decent shot still.
Absolutely. I bet they wish that Era was any hero not named Lifestealer, because Paladin Rise would have been able to get so many kills on this hero if it weren't Lifestealer.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see Fnatic. Maybe now with this Aegis of theirs, it's still up for a couple more minutes. They want to try and at least make an attempt to get some racks here. TP in from Tinker. Ooh, immediate blink out. He blinked down. Uh-oh.
Oh, nice tombstone. They've found him. They've located him, and they're going to jump right on there. Fnatic, they're hungry for blood. They haven't gotten a kill in 5 minutes, and they quickly dispose of a Rise. No buyback, because, of course, he bought out for that Scythe of Vice. A smart thing to do when you're behind, but yet, Fnatic, the big turtler is gone. There's no Keeper of the Light to worry about, and they're going to high ground. But Kaipi, I mentioned that they're probably going to try to counter push, and here we go. The Necro 3 creeps. Envy, Paladin, and Bone 7 going for the top tower. They're going to bring it down quickly. Fnatic actually behind on this space race.
There's your clip, though.
They teleport one person back. Fly is back. He blinks in. When the heck did this thing get Blink Dagger? But there it goes. The tier 3 down. And Fnatic, however, once they actually proceed to the racks, they get them down. Envy and Bone 7 forced to retreat. And KP, the base race looked good, but Paladin is...
Rax in trouble. Necrobook Warriors, they hit hard. Melee Rex does go down.
They got it.
You got 10 Treants plus 2 level 3 Necrobook Warriors. They actually trade a melee Rex for, well, their own melee and range Rex, which, considering they're behind, isn't the worst possible trade. Once they lose Tinker, it's a great trade. If they had Tinker alive, they would defend. If Tinker's alive there, they stall, and I imagine Fnatic TP back and KP TP back, and no one loses a Rex. But with Tinker dead, we see the playmaking happen.
Absolutely. I mean, in the realm of making lemons from lemonade, they made some great lemonade there.
Yeah.
Tinker down 4v5, and you still managed to pull off a split push in which you only lose by a ranged Rax, which is everybody's second favorite type of Rax. Like, that's a good deal.
Yeah. Well, and it all started from... I mean, you mentioned No-Tail as a playmaker on the mid lane. Here he is on a support, making plays. That Tombstone was what secured the kill. As Hanny... Basher of his own. So 2 Bashers wasn't enough now. They get themselves a 3rd Skull Basher. Fnatic have some serious hate out towards this Ursa, because you don't really need Basher for any of these other heroes.
Yeah, I would love to see... They really need a Cuirass now, in my opinion. It doesn't stack armor with the Vlads, but oh no, Arise. He's going to get caught out. Dear. The Void, the Silence, the Entangle. Arise is dead once again, and Tinker, he still doesn't have buyback. He's on the ground again. Fnatic, I think they're just going to go for it because they're way ahead of Kaipi this time. Kaipi have the entirety of this tier 2 mid to chew through before they can go back. And this might be a trade that they can't possibly afford to make. They're going to do their best, but unfortunately, I don't see their success getting repeated. I think Fnatic will get this. Fly jumps forward. Bane with Blink Dagger so strong. He doesn't even need the Fiend's Grip to get Pile Die, and now it's 2 on the ground. Tinker gets the money to buy back with a tier 2 tower kill, but unfortunately, Fnatic are through. They pushed down the melee Rex already. They may go for the range Rex with just Spirit Bear and Era damage. They can't seem to decide. They're going to TP back when they can. The tier 3 is almost down here. Necro Warrior is just smacking away at it. Their damage is so good, gods. I mean, you asked about the Necro book. It's it's almost single-handedly gotten some racks down for them.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Bone 7 being a player who's really impressed me. He's been sort of, in my eyes, what's kept Kaipi in this game.
Oh, Caesar.
Oh, action at mid.
Unfortunately, yeah. They actually, that was a trade of Leshrac for Lifestealer, which is by no means good. But, oh man, here comes Lifestealer with the buyback. The Boots of Travel is coming into play. Trixie will escape Era. He puts the open woods on Bone 7. Bone 7 may escape if he doesn't get bashed. He gets bashed. Envy gets gripped. Everybody dies. Oh man. That could be the death blow for Kaipi. Those triple skull bashers coming into play in a big way. Envy, does he have buyback? No. They do have Bone 7 and they have Tinker, so they can do their best to turtle, but Fnatic going in.
Yeah, it's such a hard and difficult game for Kaipi to win just because they have to play it flawlessly. We saw Tinker gets picked off top and they lose, and you can't even really blame Tinker for it. He's stalled for so long, and all it takes is one slip up and the game ends. So it's going to look bad when it happens, but it was just a matter of time before it happened. Fnatic, they strike. They now get themselves even more further ahead. They get an Abyssal Blade up on the Night Stalker, and they're looking really good to end this game with this push.
The Cuirass is complete on the Bear as well, so nobody who they want to bash will not get bashed. Yeah. Everybody will get bashed. It's going to be a sale on bashes at the Fnatic store.
Well, I don't think KP want any of that. Unfortunately, it's not really up to them.
Yeah, it's one of those it's like a Eastern European under communism store. They're just going to be selling it whether you want it or not. The Impale from Pile Die finally misses, and I think that may actually signal the end of this game. A missed Impale after so many successful Impales. The Abyssal goes down in a rise. Zizu will just get taken down basically by incidental damage. Hani, actually a monster in this game, just pushing through. The Gem, Pile Die completely unable to escape. One more Void will do it. He doesn't actually have the mana, but Zisu's dead. Envy calls the GG as he retreats into the fountain. And Fnatic, they have Mega Creeps. They secure the kill. It looks bad, gods, but honestly, I don't think Kaipi looked that bad. It just looks really bad.
Kaipi redeemed themselves with how they played for like the last 10 minutes until they lost that set of Raxes at top. They redeemed themselves so much. I think what it came down to was just a drafting and strategic thing. Because I think the Ursa pick was picked on paper because, hey, Ursa's a great hero against Night Stalker, Lifestealer, because he can win 1v1. But for one thing, he didn't go Fury Swipes over Power Build. Even if he did, though, you can see why the hero isn't all that relevant, because he doesn't do well. Bashes, Entangle, all these heroes who he's meant to counter, he doesn't actually counter.
Absolutely. I think they really struggled to make the Ursa relevant, and they had a disastrous early game.
Yeah.
The early game went very badly for Kaipi. Tinker got his Boots of Travel at, I think, 17 minutes, which is about 8 minutes after what you would call a good timing. And Ursa really, really struggled. That said, they really pulled it together, and they're starting to remind me almost of Absolute Legends a little bit. Another team that typically has struggles in the early game, but just has excellent execution and game decisions in the mid-game that really take them back. And AL, when they moved to the next level, was when they sort of resolved their early game issues. So we'll see if Kaipi can do that in Game 2.
Yeah, I think the Ursa pick was cute. We'll see what they look to go for in Game 2. It ultimately was the hero, which was their undoing, unfortunately. Yeah. It sort of led to the offensive trial-in where I think if they had that pull, maybe things actually go differently, because I think then Ursa gets more farm. I think also that was the other big thing. It was something that happened before the creeps even spawned. Not having their own pull camp can be a game-deciding factor there, because that trial lane loses because of that.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. All right, going on to Game 2?
Yep, we'll go on to Game 2, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gods from Beyond the Summit, and this has been Vikramond, who casts here and there all over the place. You can follow us, of course, as always, on Twitter. I'm twitter.com/btsgods, and he's twitter.com/Vikramond. But Game 2, guys, coming up. We'll see if KP can bounce back. They're down one game. This is a winner bracket game, so even if they lose, they are still in this, but we'll get right into it. Game 2 coming up soon.